Welcome to the Road is Dead podcast. I'm Rob Curtis, sitting here in the Steinmetz studio with,
Leah, Sanda.
and joining us remotely, we have
Tim Strelecki. How's everybody doing?
And we have not recorded in quite a while. Apologies, but it is the way that it is. We get to this time of year, everybody gets really busy. A lot of it, in my opinion, I mean, Tim, you may disagree, but a lot of it, in my opinion, was due to the fact that Tim was traveling and had a big event down south, and I did not feel like interrupting him. And knowing that his mind was on other things, enjoying life, racing down there, and doing things like that. And at the same time, I had a ton of busy work up here, so not a big deal, really.
Summer comes and we all get busy, scatter like cockroaches. It's hard to do it.
But now we're kind of coming into the throes of, I don't know, I guess road season here.
I would say
gravel to an extent. Some of the big racing, I guess, is what I want to say. But so I don't know. I opened it up with Tim. So Tim, give us a breakdown to Leah's point. What were you saying right before we started? Everybody, I'm trying to prompt you. Everybody asks you all the time what Tim's doing.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's very interested to hear about your racing, Tim, and your thoughts and opinions on stuff. So, yeah. So you have fans. So enlighten them and us.
Well, I'll say thank you to everybody that shows a sparkle of interest in what the hell an old man is doing. So thank you for that. No, I went down to, I like, when I started healing from my thumb injury, I was just like, what am I going to do this year? Like, I had nothing planned. I'm like, kind of for the last few years, I'm just like throwing darts at a wall or throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that. So I came across the Oz stage race. It's a 3-day, technically 4-day mountain bike stage race in Bella Vista and Bentonville. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll go do that. We went down to Fayetteville for Cross Nationals last year. Darcy and I stayed in Bella Vista. We absolutely fell in love with the place. So I was like, well, we should get back there. Towards the end of last year, I was like, we should get back there at some point in 2026. So that came up and I was like, yeah, this sounds like something I'm interested in. It's mountain biking. It's in a fantastic part of the country for mountain biking. The infrastructure is there for not only just mountain biking but for cycling in general. So let's go do this. So we went down there from, I don't know, we left on the 16th of May and got home on July 1st. So we went down there for quite a while. We first week was basically focused on just kind of like recon for me for the 3 stages that mattered. And then we took the week after to sightsee, do some fun touristy things. Darcy could get out and do her thing and fill her cup. And I went and rode all the mountain bike trails and filled my cup. So yeah, the Oz stage race was probably the best race I've done in a long time. Like I knew it would be good just because of where it was. But the organizers did a fantastic job organizing the event. I think they said it took them 2 years to put this whole thing together.
This is the first year running of it, right?
Yes,
first year.
Is the inaugural edition of it. They did a fantastic job. You never know. First year events are always hit or miss on what you're going to get. But being in that part of the country and the community is so heavily involved in the mountain bike scene and the cycling scene in general, and there's so many like sponsors and volunteers that it really created an awesome environment. Walmart threw in a bunch of cash. All the brands that Walmart works with were partnered. They are opening the bike park in the Oz Trails Bike Park, which is basically like a snowboard park for mountain bikes. So it's like a jump park. They're opening that live to the public, I think this weekend, but they had what they called a founding members weekend. So all these people, you can like pitch in and become get a membership and do all that. So they had, during the time we were there, they had that weekend go on. The actual one of the Thursday stage for the stage race was like a 3.5 mile optional stage at the bike park. I didn't do that because I woke up Thursday the morning of, and I was like, oh, I just don't feel good. Like I had put a lot of effort into pre-riding the courses the days prior that I didn't sleep well the night before and I just wasn't feeling it. So I was like, you know what? Kind of went out for a little shakeout ride in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm gonna skip this. It's like trying to race a crit at 5:30. You wait around all day and it's hard to like get up for it because you're you're supposed to be eating dinner, but you have to go race a crit or do this thing where in like an hour I'm supposed to go to bed.
So why do you think they
Um,
threw that into the event as an optional thing, just to be able to
uh,
get people in there just to see it, or was
I
there
think
any?
that's part of it. I think that's part of it. You know, it's kind of new and exciting. From what I saw of the videos of the prologue, like one video that I found of a guy racing the prologue, there were no jumps involved. It was all like crushed limestone. There was a section where they went off kind of in the woods to get some climbing in to slow it down, but it was all like crushed limestone with like rollers. Really, really, really good flow. But I just opted not to do it because I knew from pre-riding, I knew what the actual stages were, and they were hard. So I'm like, I don't need to open up. It's not the kind of event, it's not like a crit. You don't need to open up the day before to kind of do it to feel good the day of. It's such a long day that I just opted out of it. And I think that was the right decision for me. You know, over the course of 3 days, it was 103 miles and 9,300 feet of vert. So
Wow. Yeah,
it was
that's a bit.
tough. It was a big day, big day. The first day was on the back 40, and that day was all rain the whole day. So the course actually, just because the course is so rocky, that it holds water really well. Like it rode better in the torrential rain than it did all the days that I pre-rode it when it was loose over hard and dry and dusty. The only time you had to like really kind of settle down was when you came across like rock drops or big like slabs, because those were
Right.
like ice. So you had to like, not rush anything. But,
Yeah.
creek crossings, water, I mean, just a lot of climbing, but
Hmm.
like sustained. But you always get rewarded because you climb, 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 and then you're ripping this just single track downhill
Yeah.
forever, and then you're in the bottom, and then you got to climb back up. So it's like that for forever, and it's just different. It's different. When our
Yeah.
topography here, there's nothing like that. So it's just it's something where you had to you couldn't lose focus.
Yeah.
You couldn't lose focus because there's rocks everywhere, and the trails are super narrow. So it's hillside on one side and then falls off on the other. So you can't blink or else you'll be
Yeah.
falling in the ravine.
How
Very
many people?
technical.
How many people are in this event? I mean, do they have to split it up into start waves or groups, or does
They,
it all go
they
together?
they split it up into start waves. It was wave one was your elite field or your men's open, your U23 female open, and then I think women U23. And then there was juniors in there as well, like small junior fields. They were all lumped in. So that was like your wave one. And then 15 minutes later, it was all the masters and e-bikes.
Oh, okay.
Which at first I was like, this is gonna suck. Like I'm gonna come across so many people that I'm gonna fight to get around, and it's not easy to get around people on these trails because there's nowhere to pull out. Or,
Hmm.
there's no room for them to pull over, and you kind of like you get stuck at times. And then I was concerned about the e-bikers, but there was only like maybe three total.
Ah,
Really?
Um, so,
That surprises me.
yeah, so it wasn't a lot. Well, anyway, everyone was real. When you come across when you're trying to get past people, you'd get stuck at times, but there were opportunities. Everyone was real civil and real nice, and it was quite good. It wasn't as bad as I anticipated it to be, but each day was hard. The last day, the second day was like the Queen stage. It was 36 miles, 3,700 feet of vert. And the last day was just like 29.8, 30 miles and like 27 or 2,800 feet of vert. But it was more like urban, like we started at Kohler. So we did all of Kohler, both sides. And then you're on the street for a while. You're making your way to the next single track section. Then you do that section for a while. Then you hit a feed. Then you're at Slaughter Pen and you rip through there. And then you're on the road again. And it was brutal though because a lot of the non-single track sections, the gravel and the roads that we were on were just like 15% just for days. And you're just
oh,
like,
geez.
I'm so tired right now. I don't want to do this. But it was awesome. I'm totally gonna go do it again. And any mountain bikers local to the area, if you're ever debating it, pull the trigger and go do it. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
The hospitality was phenomenal afterwards. All the food for participants, recovery food, not just like your typical recovery shakes, but they had like a spread, a whole big, huge lounge area, a spread of all kinds of food for recovery, vegan options, which was awesome for Darcy and I. It was all free for participants. And then I saw that you could buy like I bought a meal ticket for Darcy for $30, and she got the same exact shit that all the participants got for all 3 days. So she could eat and not be like withering away, starving. Such a phenomenal event. I couldn't recommend it more. My first stage race I ever did, so I didn't know what the hell I was getting into. Like you watch a stage race on TV and you're like, oh, that looks easy, because you're just sitting on the
Mhm.
couch watching it. And then I never rode those trails down there. And so there's, pre-riding, I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to ride over this? Like, this is what the map shows. Okay, I guess this is it. And it was like, I've never seen stuff like this in my life. And like, it makes everything in our local system feel like a beginner,
Yeah.
like a serious like 5-year-old could ride what we have versus what is over there. Because
Yeah.
like you do a lot of climbing. The climbing is, it's sustained, right? It just rolls along and just goes along the valley and you slowly come up. But when you come up to the neighborhoods and the street crossings, I mean, it's like almost vert and you're already spent. So you're traversing these berms and then you got to get up into the neighborhood, cross the street, and then you get rewarded with all the downhill. But I
Mm.
mean, all the berms are rocks, giant boulders, loose pebbles, so it's real sketchy. And shit's just come when you're going ripping down the single track, stuff's just coming at you like super fast on all sides. So you're getting this ungodly you're overstimulated and you can't take your eye off the trail. Obviously for those of you that know, if you ride mountain bikes or any kind of things, off road, you should always look ahead. So you're always just like you're visually stimulated and I was mentally exhausted more than physically exhausted by the time I got done
Yeah.
each day.
Well, I find that with mountain biking, like I become
Yeah,
more exhausted mentally just from the focus
yeah,
necessary. So,
yeah.
what do you do to combat that? Or you just deal with it?
I mean, I think for me personally, my strategy was you had to really recognize when the limit was approaching, right? It's not like you're racing for 45 minutes. You're racing each day for over 3 hours. So there's time. You're going to have good moments and bad moments. And you can't go too good into good moments. So you suffer in the bad moments, even worse than you normally would. So you had to really like dose yourself. You
Mhm.
could get caught up in trying to hold the wheel of a stronger rider in front of you and then just catastrophically blow up 5 miles later because it's relentless. Like the topography there is relentless. Like if the climb now doesn't get you, the 1.5 hour from now is going to kill you. And you just had to like really be like self-awareness and
Yeah.
realize that it's a long day.
Yeah.
It's a long day and a lot can happen. And I was super stoked that my equipment for the most part held up. I mean, I never had a flat. So my tire choice was good. The inserts were good. The only thing that really kind of, I think, penalized me was the tire choice that I chose. Those tires are heavy. So for those of you
Mhm.
listening, I chose Vittoria Mezcal in the trail casing, front and rear, and those tires are like 900 grams each. So they're like bomb proof. They're pretty fast, but with all the climbing, there's a weight penalty,
You're
right?
right. But you didn't get a flat. How many people did you see out there pass on the trail that got flats? Well,
I
they're probably all
passed each
behind you.
day. Each day I passed probably a half dozen or more people each day, pulled over on the side of the road, just, side of the trail, fixing flats with, sealant spitting out, or,
Yeah.
you throw a, hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. All right, keep going. Yeah, so that's where I was launching from. I was willing to suffer the weight penalty to not have that happen, and having cleaned my bike afterwards and doing, some tire inspection. There's a lot of the knobs that are like there's chunks taken out of them. Sidewall, there's a couple areas where if it had been a thinner casing, it would for sure have sliced.
Hmm.
So I feel like the weight penalty was worth it. The
Sounds
combination of
like it.
having a heavy tire setup and like all the weight of a hydro pack. It's just like you are adding extra weight, obviously, but it all benefits because there's zero places to take your hands off the bars to grab a water bottle, at least in the first two stages. And if you did, it was super sketchy.
Yeah.
They
So
had two aids.
how'd you handle the aid stations then?
Darcy was a freaking logistical genius. We had talked about it. Each day there was two aid stations designated in pretty pretty reasonable areas, nothing like just on the side of the trail, like in parking lots here or there. So we talked about it. I told her what I thought she should do. She figured out the route and how to get to each one. And the nice thing is, like, we're not on major roads. We're on a small little trail, so she's not interfering with any of the race traffic, which
Mm.
is good for her. So she figured it all out, and I made it just so I could. I used the Hydro Pack all the way to aid station 2. Like, I had full bladder, which is like 72 ounces, and then I had a bottle on my bike. So I made sure I exhausted all of that, and then at aid 2, I dropped the pack, took a bottle with some gels, and then would go to the end. And each day from aid 2 to the finish was like, the first day I think was 8 miles, and the next day was like 9 miles. So I was like,
Mhm.
I could make it with a bottle and a couple of gels from there. So that was my strategy. I just
How do you do calories? All gels? Do you have something in your pack, calorie wise?
I did 900 calories in my pack, and I had 900 calories in my pack. I had another 300 in my bottle, and then I had just a shitload of gels. I wear a Nathan vest, and it's got little pockets in the front that makes gel accessibility real easy. So I had probably 6 gels on me. So I was just like races like that, they're eating contests. So you just
Hmm.
got to make sure you guys got to make sure you're staying you're aware of your hydration and your nutrition, and not let those for me personally, over the years and trying to do longer distance events like this, I've learned like the warning signs that my body gives me, and I try to not experience those, because when you do, for me personally, it goes off the rails real fast if I
Yeah.
start to experience that stuff.
What are your
Which is
warning
kind of why
signs?
I start to get like, it's not like I feel weak or anything, but I start to, like, when I blink, I can see a little dot, little dots appear for me,
Mm.
like one little dot. And I'm like, if the dot appears, I don't have much time.
Mm.
So I did my best to just drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and drink. Luckily, it wasn't blazing hot.
Mhm.
With the rain the first day, it was actually kind of chilly, and I think it was mid 60s at the start, but
Mhm.
humid. So in all essence, comfortable, really.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start going, you're climbing, and you're just like, you can easily kill yourself being overdressed. So yeah, I just made sure to stay up on hydration, stay up on gels. Even if I didn't want to eat a gel, I took a gel anyway, and it's just like no solid foods for me. I can't really. It's too hard for me personally to eat solid foods, and there really wasn't any time where you could, climbing a hill when you're gassed and trying to chew solid foods is,
Inhaling it.
Mhm.
yeah, it defeats the purpose. You end up spitting half of it out because you can't
Yeah.
breathe. So yeah, I just made sure to, like I said, stay up on my nutrition, take care of my equipment, not really ride overly aggressive, because it's real easy to do that, in my opinion. And the only mistake I made was on the second day, or last day, what they called like the urban stage. I started with a bottle, and Darcy met me at both aid stations. And the first aid station was like after 11 miles. So I made sure I got through that bottle, got through the next bottle, and then at the second aid, I dropped the bottle. Like, we went to do the road handoff, and it's been like, I don't know, a decade since Darcy's had to hand me a bottle, and we didn't go over it, and it's my fault. I don't blame her. It's not her fault. I went in way too fast. I went in like a tour professional, way too fast. And just fumbled the bottle, dropped it, stopped, turned around, ditched my old one, got the full bottle, but I didn't take the gels. And if I had a do-over, I would take the gels, because after that aid on the gravel road, we had a long section of tarmac and a big climb. I could have wolfed down like 2 or 3 gels. So I made the mistake there, and paid for it later with like 5 miles to go. I got that, I got my warning signs, and I was like, oh, this is bad. This is not good. And I crashed.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah.
there was one like section. You're coming downhill. You're almost to the end, and you're weaving your way, and you're making your way downhill, just ripping some good flow. And then it was like a left up a little hill, like crest, and then downhill off camber to the left across like wet rock slabs. And I didn't have the angle right, and I slid out, and like kind of, it could have been a lot worse. And I feel like I got lucky. Like, I slid out, and kind of there was like a big, rock face to my right. And I kind of was like high fiving the wall. And then my arm slid across the wall, fell off my bike. Thought I broke my derailleur off. And I got up and I was like, because it made a horrible sound. I was like, oh God. Got on, remounted, started pedaling, shifted the gears a few times. I'm like, okay, it works. And then just, I was off for the last 5 miles. It just kind of was like, all right, dude, don't, you've come this
Yeah.
far. Don't
Don't blow it.
do it. Don't do
I
anything
mean,
stupid.
were you tight in competition with anybody at that moment?
No, 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 no. I had no heat from, well, I can't say no because before the second aid station, I started to see some dudes that I had gapped earlier come back, and I was like, oh, all right, I got to stay in this. So after the aid station and those climbs that preceded the aid station, I dug in on those climbs, and I was like, whoa. Like I gave it the beans to keep my gap, and I never saw them again after that. But I think I put too much energy into that earlier spot that my focus wasn't where I needed it to be when I came across that section where I got off. But those guys never ended up coming back to me. And the guy that I was kind of battling with for the lead, I won't say battling with because he destroyed us. He was long gone. I mean, this dude was like basically Matt Beer's doppelganger. For those of
Oh,
you that don't, yeah, like
oh wow.
seriously, in every single way, height, his appearance, the way he sat on a bike, the power he produced, I was like, I got nothing for this dude. But he's from, like that, like there's this team called Baghouse. They're out of California, and true mountain bikers listening may know who that team is. I have a buddy that used to race for that team back, who lives in California. It's just a really strong group of like masters mountain bike dudes. They're like super good, and there was three of them, and each day they would kind of like ride away in the beginning, and I'd kind of dangle, and then as the race went on, one of them would go away, and I'd catch the other two, pass the other two, and then manage that. But I mean, at the end, I think the gap was 18 minutes. I can't
Yeah.
do nothing about that. I don't, I mean, I'm not saying that now. It's like, oh, you suck. But then knowing that with my injury in the beginning of the year and not really like dedicating myself to training, I think I did pretty well. Like I came away from this, even though I got second. I told this to Darcy. I was like, this is the first time I've ever got second and this is days later, like 4 days later. I was like, you know what? This is the first time I've ever gotten second where I didn't call myself the first loser. So
Good.
I'm pretty proud of myself. Yeah, and it was just realizing early on, like I don't have anything for this dude. Like we came the last day in the urban stage, I got the whole shot, led the whole first like 7 miles through all the single track and everything, and he was just following me. And then we got to the road. He took the lead, led up all the climbs, and then we started. There's this one where you go behind a Home Depot, hit a bunch of single track, or a Lowe's, go behind a bunch of single track, and then you pop out on another single track that goes along the I-49, and it's just a gradual like climb, gradual, like 2-3%, and just rolls. And he just turned the gas on and slowly just. I was like, I'll see you later. Finish line, dude.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I held on for as long as I could, but there were some switchbacks where it got really steep towards the top, and he has that extra body mass which produces power, and he's just good. I had nothing for him. My only hope was that he got a flat, and I would pass him later on, but that didn't happen. It's really
So apparently he was using trail casings.
yeah, I don't know, with it being such diverse terrain, you almost have to suffer that weight penalty if you don't want a flat. But
Mhm.
you have to like find the fine line. Like I don't think when I go back next year or even later on, because I think I'm going to go do Little Sugar in October. I think I would change my tires. I don't think I would use something that heavy. I would still use liners, but I would use something a little different, maybe like a recon race, like a Maxxis recon race or something like that. Like I would love to do the exact tire I used in the race casing, but I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't trust the race casing. As fast as it is, you're not in sections where you're on areas where you can gain speed. You're going to gain speed by being smooth, staying off the brakes, having good flow, great climbing legs. That's where you're going to gain it. You're not going to gain it just burning 500 watts up a asphalt climb,
Right.
you know. So it's a thinking man's game, but it was a blast, an absolute blast.
Good.
Do you guys look at any houses?
We did not look at any houses in the flesh. We met with a realtor, and we'll go from there.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll see. The puzzle is being put together. there's just a few major pieces that are missing.
Yep.
So we will see.
Well, I can't in good conscience like that, but I like that, if you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, it's just there's just you guys have all known. You've gone on vacations, you've gone to places, you know that like when you go and you have this feeling and then you go back and that you still have this feeling or the feeling
Yeah.
intensifies and it's feeling of like joy, peace, happiness, calm, everything that you don't get where you're currently at. That's kind of when you know it's maybe time to fly the coop.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Leah, I'm sure you experienced that with Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot I love here, which is why I'll probably always split my time. But I have been going to Tucson every year for over 10 years, and then having spent a lot of time down there and over the past year with the new house, I still love it every bit as much. And
Yeah.
I feel like I fall deeper in love with Tucson the more time I spend down there, which is good.
Meanwhile,
Yeah,
when we go, we'll look at houses. If we go, hey, this place is cool, and then we look at houses for like 5 seconds, and then go, yeah, no, we can't afford it. We're staying where we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can't beat it. I mean, the Airbnb we stayed in was like, you know, the topography in Bella Vista, it's like you either have a steep front yard or a very steep backyard, right? So everything's built, you know, you have like it looks like a ranch in the front, but then the back of your house is on
It's like 4
pillars.
stories tall. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
Mhm.
when you're in the living space, it feels like you're in a treehouse. That's how it was. Like we had trees all around us, and we were elevated, so it felt like we were in a treehouse, and we were just like, this is so nice. But you know, I mean, and then
Yeah.
it just, you know, for me to see my wife actually happy and like
Yeah.
enjoying herself, and you know, filling her cup in ways that she isn't able to do here.
Mhm.
Forget the mountain bike trails. I just want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hard to argue with.
Yeah.
yeah. But
So
enough
what's
about mountain biking.
well, what's next for you? Do you have any other than Little Sugar? Do you have anything else coming
Um,
up?
I will probably do a couple of the close wars races. You know, there's one. I think there's one in Rockford at Atwood, and then Treadfest, which is right over the border in Lake Geneva. Those are always good events. And the weird thing is about their schedule, a lot of their stuff went up like north, like towards like Green Bay and stuff. So I'm not going to drive 4 hours to do
Yeah.
any of that. But some of the close ones that I know are good from experience past, I'll go do those. Probably the local mountain bike series here, the Camber series. I do want to do a race called Lord of the Springs. It's basically Barry Roubaix with a bunch of single track peppered in.
Yeah.
Um,
That sounds
that's in
fun. Where's that
September.
at?
Right. I don't know where it starts out of, but it's like
But
Kalamazoo
Barry,
area.
yeah,
Okay.
Barry
Like
County
it's
ish.
yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of the Barry Roubaix roads, but then a lot of that single track in the area.
Cool.
So I'll probably go do that, and then Little Sugar. I'd like to go do Little Sugar at the end of the year to go do that again. It's all
Fun.
tentative. Nothing is set in stone. But you know, the wheels after this experience, my wheels have literally and figuratively been spinning nonstop.
Nice.
What's next? What can I do? What can I do? Oh, I'll go do that. I'll go do that. I'll go do that.
Yeah.
You know how you just get like you get amped up and something you do or you just did really like
Yeah.
get your vibe high, so you want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you come out of an event like that and travel and time spent there, and you're probably on this big high, right? And then
Yeah.
you can't, it's like, don't make any decisions until you go through the crash after it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about you, but like I always go through a low spot where my
Sure.
dopamine kind of crashes. My mood's kind of like,
For
and then
sure.
you come
For
back
sure.
out of that, and then it's like, all right, what's next?
Me personally, I do the in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, I think I might want to do this. I think I might want to do that. I think I might want to do this. And then I do my one, and I'm kind of surfing that. And then next thing you know, like we'll be sitting here talking, and she'll be like, "Hey, are you doing whatever?" Well, yeah. Well, when is that? Well, it's this weekend. Wait, what? And I haven't
Yeah.
registered yet or really prepared for.
Yeah.
That's usually where I find myself.
Yeah.
It's like I want to sit down and figure out all of those, but then I'm kind of like I have no idea what's coming down the road, and I got to do what I got to do, and then it's like, oh
Yeah.
crap, it's this weekend. Speaking of which, Horrible Hilly Hundreds is next weekend.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
I did not
it's not this
register for
weekend.
it. Did you sign up?
Oh, I registered, but then I went, oh, I haven't gotten a hotel room yet. And then it dawned on me, and I'm like, I should probably do that.
I had a lot of fun with it. last year, but I didn't know if I should sign up for it this year because I had a lot of racing and I have a lot of travel coming up. So I was like, I might want
We're
that weekend.
we're gonna hit yours in just a sec, but to finish this thought on that out, I just did it again because to me, I'm not going to challenge myself on that kind of climbing unless I just sign up for something like that and just do it, and I'll suffer through it. My fitness always improves afterwards. So,
is anybody else doing it that you know of?
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't sign up because somebody else was doing it, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I'm sure I will run into people.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, but thank you, Tim. On that, we're going to hit. I wanted to jump into kind of what you've been doing. You did the Fat and Skinny Tire Fest.
Yeah. So first time ever, I went down for that event and kicking myself for not going down sooner because it was absolutely amazing.
Part of the Midwest Cup.
Part of the new Midwest Cup, which I wanted to support. Also, I got to go see and catch up with the OG Anthony back in my bike shop Glen Ellen days. The mechanic there, Anthony Lisanicchia, and his wife Catherine, they moved out to that area, and he's always pestered me every year about coming out, but it's usually been our Fox River Grove weekend, and then after that, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't go. Maybe I didn't have teammates going. I didn't want to go by myself. But this year, I was like, all right, I want to support the cup. I don't know if there'll be other women racing in Masters, which they included as part of the cup, but I'm going to go. I'm going to do that. And Katie and PJ and Sue Ellen were there, so I stayed with them in their Airbnb. And yeah, it was a good time. The courses were super fun. I loved the 2 crit courses. They were amazing. The Friday night crit was 6-corner flat, kind of like the letter T shape, and wide. And it was just balls out. We had all women combined, and you had Andrea Sear and Elizabeth Dixon and her higher dose squad and some other really strong squads there. And I thought, I'm like, well, my plan is to, the line about how you not get eaten by the bear is not that I have to outrun the bear, is I just have to outrun you. So
I was like, the fastest one. You just got to be faster
exactly. I was like, I don't know that I can stay connected with this field the whole race, but I have really good skills and ability to pack position myself well, and I might be able to hang in longer than many others, and that is exactly how it played out. So I was the first master, even though I made it just over halfway through the race.
Nice job.
So that worked. The next day was a road race. It was a beautiful course. It rained most of the entire race, and it was a circuit race, 8-mile loop. We did 3 loops, and we were combined with the women's Cat 3, 4, 5. And there were moments in there where people would try to attack or go hard and stuff, but it was overall not. It wasn't like easy, but it wasn't hard either. We pretty much all stayed together. Everybody was good about taking the turns nice and carefully, so we didn't have to worry about anybody crashing. There was a sprint for Omnium points after the end of this lap 2, and I got boxed in for that. And that was beautiful because it taught me exactly what I needed to do for the finish. So
Boxed in Betty Award.
So I knew on the finish, because for the finish we were going to have the full road. So as we were coming in on the road, it's a long stretch. It's a big long rectangle basically. So I parked my butt right on the center line the whole way because you can't cross the center line rule. So the only way you can go over the center line is just before the finish. So I knew if I was on the center line, once we opened up, I could go to the left. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up getting 3rd overall in the race and first master again. So that was super fun. And then the last day was just a blast. My legs were tired, and there was the first 2 turns, turn 1, turn 2 were kind of scary to some people, I think, but I for some reason I was just in this I love cornering and crits, and that was super fun. It was a fun course. But there were some really strong women in these fields that are gunning for
Hmm.
their upgrades, and I
Yeah.
just had a blast trying to hang on. And I finished well. I think I was 6th or 7th overall and first in the Masters again. So that was a
I've always
good
been,
way to launch my season, and with a little bit of confidence. And
that's
then I
good.
went to
Went to the
mm,
Quad Cities, didn't you?
I skipped Snake Alley in the Friday night race this year, and I just did Sunday as Quad Cities and Sunday
Melon.
Mellon City, and then
Yep.
which is in Muscatine, and then I did Monday in Quad Cities against my better judgment, which I'm like, I don't go there with any expectation for a finished position. I know I'm going to get my ass handed to me. I know I am most likely going to get dropped. Mellon City is the only one where the climb on that course isn't going to
It's not
punch you in the
terrible.
face too hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you do it 20 times, and I think
Yeah.
our race, actually, I think the officials had to shorten it a little bit because we were actually going really slow the whole first half of the race. Nobody did anything, which I was like,
Did they
okay.
still have this? Did they still have the speed bump on the
No, it's
downhill before the
gone.
uphill?
It's gone.
Oh, see,
It's gone.
that was always
Yeah.
wild.
So, I mean, there were some really hard attacks, and I at one point thought I was gone, but I clawed my way back on and got reconnected. And, it was so funny. The finish, I know how this finish plays out. And there's that
Mhm.
you've raced it, Tim, and you've got
Yeah.
that climb with a gradual
Uh-huh.
left and the sharp right. And that
Yeah.
sharp right is, I know, like if you're gunning to win that race, you want to treat that like your finish line.
Yeah,
You
for
want to
sure.
win that turn. You want to win that
Yeah.
turn, right?
No one's gonna get
So,
around you if you win that turn.
final lap, we're coming around, and I'm waiting for the sprint to open up, right? I'm like, I'm not going to open it up. I know I'm smart enough to know that this is not my play, but I
Hmm.
was in a good position and I was ready to jump on it. And so when it started going, I gave it all the beans, and they rode away from me. And I was like,
Oh,
wow.
so that's how you do it.
Oh shit. That's what it's like to race with these young, fast women. Shoot.
Yeah.
On an uphill. We're halfway up the hill when they just start
Yeah.
sprinting. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm a decent sprinter, but not uphill.
Well, it's
I
hard
just
because, especially with that one, because you go downhill and then no one really like gasses it at the bottom
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
up. They kind
So
of just
you're
like
like,
soft pedal, and then
yeah.
they light it up in the middle where everyone's momentum is like, duh.
Dying
And
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not like ready for it,
Yeah.
it's almost like one of those ones where if you feel super good, just gas it at the bottom and hold on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and I was ready for it. And I was letting a
Yeah.
gap open at the bottom so that I could just
Yeah.
use my momentum to fly right up into the pack on the hill, at least for the first half of
Yeah.
the hill. But I was ready for it. Yeah. Quad Cities. Yeah. No, my heart wasn't in it. Number one. Number two, it kicks up to like 10%, the top part of that climb. And
Yeah.
I was not mentally prepared for that feeling.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah.
prepared mentally for that race. I wasn't in the
Yeah.
right mindset. I wasn't prepared
Tough one.
for how I was going to have to handle that.
Hmm.
And even if I had did all the things right, it would have just been a little bit further down the line before I got kicked out the back of that. So it happened a
Yeah.
little sooner than I wanted it
That
to,
whole,
but
that whole entire weekend is it's a very challenging weekend.
it is.
They're not your typical creek courses
Yeah,
in a sense
yeah,
of like the
they are
climbs that are
not.
on them. They just
They are
wear on
not
you.
Leah crits. Yeah, they're not Leah crits at all, which is fine because I get a whole bunch of hill repeats and I get to hang out with friends. So
You definitely
it's,
get a fitness bump for sure.
yeah, and I always do.
But to that point, though, where you say they're not Leah crits or whatever, so, and not as a negative kind of thing, the general feedback that I'm getting is that the attendance in that whole weekend has dropped drastically. And to me, it kind of seems like it's in the past, everyone was there because it was where you went. and it was like the thing you do. It had history. You're a road cyclist. You go there, you race it. Memorial Day weekend, it is the stuff. And it seems like now, it almost seems like people are doing what they did to like the Fox River Grove thing, where after a few years, they figured out this isn't for me. I'm not an expert in this, and there's other stuff I can go and do. And so it seems like they're just choosing not to opt into it because it's not their forte anymore. And it seems like that's what, like the Snake Alley, I think had something like 6 pro women in the field. That was the field size, was 6.
Yeah, it makes me sad because, I've been going out there for many years now, and I love the vibe out there. I love Burlington. I love being out there. I want to see those events keep going. Me personally, I wish I had like something other than the Pro 123 to race in, but I'm not going out there to win it anyway. I'm just going out there to enjoy the weekend and get some really good training. This field sizes have been very sad. I don't know. I think that whole weekend would really benefit from having one of the races. And I know they do the Friday night crit that's more flat, but I just think that having that Monday race, like in that flat technical crit that they had for the longest time, I think it made it worth going out there, and people would suck it up and suffer on the hills because they knew that they had that. Or the people that are really good on the hills, they would get their hill benefits, and then while they're out there, they might as well go race. And I think it kept it balanced. And so it drew more attendance that way. But now it just it seems like people, A, they don't want to go do something that they're not going to be good at. And B, it's a pretty small population percentage of an already small group of people racing bikes that are going to be good at those courses.
Well, how many from what I've seen on social media, there's been a lot of other major like ACC races going on. Is there anything in competition with that race that's getting the field? Like Armed Forces, I think was just this weekend.
Armed Forces, yeah. But I don't think that there's necessarily
Armed Forces was the next weekend.
But there's some like prestigious East Coast races that I've seen that get I don't know the name of them, but they get like huge draws. So they're probably going there and saying, the cash is here. I'm going where the cash is. Not only am I going to get the cash, but I'm going to get a course that's not going to kick my ass for 4 days.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if it's just that people are like, it just doesn't suit me. It's at a time where I mean, honestly, it's going to be at a time where it's going to be right before Unbound, if their thing is Unbound, or what have you. But it's like
crit racers thing is Unbound.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like people are choosing, I think, just other things. It's kind of like a great example, in my opinion, and maybe this is a segue, but people. If you think about what people were doing in the past, they were going and they were doing that weekend, even with all the climbing and everything else, because it was what you did. It was the thing, and it was where the going on thing was happening. It's not anymore. And then you look at Unbound, which just took place, and everyone's going to that because it's the thing. Everyone is there, and it's the thing that is happening. And, that... even if they're no good at it. I mean, how many people can say that they're really good as a subpar to mediocre or horrible gravel rider? How many of them are good at riding through those crappy conditions and not blowing up all their gear? No one really wants to go do that, but they've talked themselves into it because it's the thing. It's the where everybody is. It's the thing that's happening, and so people want to be there. Regardless of the pro fields and everything else. But we'll talk about Unbound in a second. But I don't know. Sorry. To me, that's kind of the thing. It was Quad Cities was popular in the same way that Unbound is now, in that it was the thing you did. Now it's not.
Yeah. So that's that. We got races coming up this weekend. We've got Elmhurst.
So sticking with crits, Midwest Cup. Midwest Cup continues. We've got Elmhurst starting on Saturday, this Saturday. We being me, I'm going to be there along with Brendan George from Shimano. He's not representing Shimano when he's out there, but he is the area Shimano tech rep. If you do not know, Brendan's been on this podcast before. And
Nice.
he's usually who I hit up for, tech information, everything else. But he and I are going to be there working a neutral pit. I don't know if there's necessarily any name on the neutral pit other than Simet, so to speak. So, but we will be there working the whole time. We may or may not have some rain, which could make it interesting for those that have been out on that course when it's raining. It does create fun activities for everybody. So we may or may not be busy. And then on Sunday, but I mean, get in, get registered. I don't know if registration's closed yet or not. By the time I get this out, this is Thursday before the race. So
I'm guessing it probably closes tonight.
Tomorrow.
Probably tonight.
Right, tomorrow.
And then obviously it's a great production, probably one of the best crits, in my opinion, that happens in the state of Illinois. Sure, you can talk about grit, but that's a grit, that's the series and this and that. And this used to be a part of that series at one point. And maybe it will be again someday, who knows? But the talk right now is that they're solid in doing what they're doing, and they do a really good show. So be there, be a part of it. Followed on its heels on Sunday by Cobb Park. Now, Cobb Park, it is one of the oldest crits in this state, put on by one of the oldest teams in this state. You can't say enough about it. If you haven't raced Cobb Park, you're doing yourself an immense disservice. If you've never crit raced before, it's probably one of the best venues for you to go and try it at. It's not a difficult course unless you make it a difficult course. It can be raced very difficultly, or if you're still new to it, it's pretty clean racing and a pretty clear shot. So if you've never raced, come out and race Cobb Park. That reg is probably closing too, but they're both in the Midwest Cup, so Saturday and Sunday, and both within a drive of each other. So pretty easy to work out. But come and be a part of that action, obviously. What else? Anything else to say about those? Or
no, I think you pretty much covered it. Both races are fantastic and well run, and Elmhurst has a lot for the family. So if you've got kids in tow, that's a good one. And then Cobb Park is a giant park in the middle of the course. It's a great place for kids to run around. They're always running around playing Frisbee and stuff.
You're right on the Kankakee River. It's just gorgeous. There's usually a breeze off the river. We have had many, many, many really good weather days out there. I'm not promising it's going to be this time. You never know. But it's just,
What
it's
direction
beautiful.
are they running it?
I think it's the same. I don't think they're changing it.
That would be clockwise then. They did it clockwise the last 2 years, I think. I can ask, but
You'll find out when we get there.
yeah. So, the joke with the clockwise is that somebody can end up in the drink. But that hasn't happened in a ton of years. So but it's more
Nobody should end up in that one.
no one should, but it has happened.
It has.
I've heard stories. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody actually end up in it. I know I've seen people on the rocks there, but not very often. Maybe once or twice in the last 20 years that I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Monk in the water, but that was after his race and he was playing in the water when he was a junior, so that's kind of what I remember. Anyway, but great crit. Absolutely get out there. Believe it or not, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It's Steve Fury, it's South Chicago Wheelmen, and it's all those guys with all their connections and everything that work hard and they bring in area teams. I mean, I have been at that race. It seems like a really small neighborhood kind of crit, and I've seen pro teams racing there over the years. So it's just the connections that they have and the people that show up. So there's usually regional teams that show up, and especially it being the day after Glencoe,
Man,
you never know who's going to show up.
When it was after Glencoe.
Yeah.
It used to be huge.
Yeah, it was always crazy. You'd be sitting there and you'd be watching pro teams from down south, at Glencoe. And then the next day it was like they're sitting there in Cobb Park on the top of the podium. We had Vandergitten was racing out there when we were sponsoring them. So, you never know who you're going to run into. So go out there and give it a shot, especially if you haven't seen it. Track, it started up for the year. I don't know that we necessarily got our episode out for the last one for track opening night. I don't think we did. Maybe, I don't know. But obviously get out there and try track. If you haven't done track and you're in the area, go out on a Monday night. You can borrow a bike. You can do the clinic and learn all about it. I highly advise you do that first before you ever go out and race the track. But it is so much fun. I'm going out there tonight, and it's kind of cool because my 20-year-old son, who hasn't done this in God knows how long, decided that he was going to race again. So he's registered, brought his kit and everything to when he left this morning. He's got the bike in the car, and we've paid the money and re-upped his license and done all that. So he's racing tonight, which is just crazy. So I'm super excited about that. I will be out there tonight as well.
I'll be officiating, so tell Andrew to behave himself.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have a problem. He hasn't been on a bike in God knows how long, so he'll be securely off the back because he's racing as a cat. He's racing as a Cat 5 now. He's no longer a junior, so he can't jump in the junior fields. You know what I mean?
So you're gonna be riding around in circles, going, "Where's the whipped cream?"
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. By the way, just to fill everybody in, that's from cyclocross. Let's just stop there.
Where's the whipped cream?
Because that's really the last racing you did, and that was in 23 or 24, I think, when you did that. So, yeah.
And I won't be around probably for your next podcast. I will be in Milwaukee from June 15th through July 2nd.
Well, if we're lucky, we'll do one next week.
So
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
If anybody is racing the Tour of America's Dairyland, or junior or masters nationals, I will be up there working with the race organization, behind the stage pretty much all day, every day, except for 4 of the days that I will try to race my bike. So come say hi.
Where's the Illinois State Championship for crits this year?
I believe it's
Edwardsville.
Yeah, August.
And there is a state road race championship in August. That is
Park, as always.
Over here, in Belvedere-ish area.
And it's a day after the commercial street crit, so it'll be a fun 2-day weekend.
I hope everyone will forgive me if I don't participate in the commercial street crit.
I understand. You left some skin on the ground there.
You can participate, just pay attention.
Yeah, don't crash.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Don't get.
All right. Well, to cover my extensive racing that I've done, in the last few weeks, of course, at this point, whatever. I did do the Ride 10,000. That is an event that was, I don't know, I think it was started by Rafa or some crap, the clubhouse way back when. I don't know who specifically started it. So if you're listening to this and you started it, my apologies. But happens over in the Driftless area. I know Stu does the design of the route now and puts it out. It is not an official race or ride or whatever. It's just on the Memorial Day weekend. And he works with some guys really hard to come up with some routes. And it's been different the times I've done it. Really interesting, really fun. Out in that area, the way that they do the route, it is, to borrow your phrase earlier, it's unrelenting. You are either descending or climbing. And I think, you asked both Anthony and I when we got back, because he went out there with me. And over the entire, I do the short one, but the short one's still like 42 miles or something. And I think we did close to 6,000 feet of climbing. It was like 5,000 something. And you get to the end, and we both were like, there was only like one section of flat road the entire time. And I was like, yes, I remember it very well. It was flat, it was paved, and it was a half a mile long. So, that's what you got when you went out there. So 42 miles of literally climbing enough that when you're on 3 to 4% grade, you're like, this is so much easier. This is nice.
No. Half of that's climbing. Half
of it's descending. I don't even know if half of it's descending, to be honest with you, because I think the descents were all like 20% grade descents that stopped very quickly. And then you were right back up and do another climb. So there was a lot of double-digit grade stuff. You get to see the chartreuse color on your Garmin all the time. You get to hear the beep of running out of gears quite a bit. And it for me, I don't know. I got to get in that mind space where I literally just stare straight forward. And I can't look up the road to see how much of the hill is left. Otherwise, I'll stop. I'll get off the bike and walk it. But, just stare straight forward and just keep turning the pedals. And next thing you know, you're at the top of it. So it's one of those things I do just because I can. And there's nothing else going on at that time. I can take as much time as I want to finish it. And I end up in way better shape because of it. So I went out and did that. After that, last weekend, there was the Kankakee Chrono. I did not do that. I do apologize to Matt and company who put that on for not going out. My road wheel, I discovered a crack in it, and I'm fixing that now. Actually, I got to get it fixed before this weekend. So I wasn't ready with the road bike. I did have the gravel bike, and Paul Swinand was once again putting on what used to be the old gravel metric out of North Central Cyclery out in DeKalb. And this goes back to the early gravel days, and he's still putting that on out there, and went and did that. Did a glorious 40 miles out there on some good gravel with some good friends. So it's a good time. Outside of that, I'm actually going to race Cobb Park. I was up in the air on that, and I really didn't want to do it. But I also know that that's a crit that I can just sit up and pull out at any point in time if I really want to. And some of it also was like, do I really need to be spending the money? Me personally, because where I'm at right now has nothing to do with whether or not it's a good deal for the race. It is. But then I have to trade Steve Fury on some parts and stuff, and we made a bargain, and I got an entry. So nice. I guess I'm racing. So I will be out there, and I will see you guys all then. I wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier with the symptoms of a bonk. You see that dot. I've seen that. I know what you're talking about. But usually for me, I start getting kind of lightheaded, and I start getting like kind of not really shaky, but that feeling of maybe shaky strength in the hands and the arms. And when that starts, and then kind of like almost like butterfly feeling in the stomach. And when that starts to come on, I know I'm in trouble. I mentioned that because we did the gravel metric one, and we just kind of hammered it for us. And I don't look, when I do a gravel ride, I don't look at the mileage. I try to go for as long as I possibly can before I actually go and look at the mileage. And if I look at the mileage before, this is like my own little thing. If I look at the mileage before we're halfway done, I'm pissed. It's like, this is going to suck. The rest of this ride's going to suck. So in my head, I kind of go, think about where you think you are for halfway done. And then you can flip to the mileage. And if you're before it, then you're having a bad day. If you're after it, then you're having a great day, So I didn't even look yet. I hadn't looked. And one of the guys I was riding with, he goes, no, we're not doing too bad. We're 20 miles in, which was halfway. And so he looked and he told me, and I was like, yes. So we're more than halfway in. I had 2 gels. We only had 20 miles left. I was like, I'll take one now. That way I'll take another before the end. But then I get to that point where that gel runs out. I've got like 5, 6 miles left, 7 miles left. And it's kind of like, why would I take a gel for 5, 6, 7 miles that are mostly roads that are flat? It's like but then I end up in the full bonk box, and I'm just struggling for the last 4 or 5 miles coming in. Everything's shaking. I don't really trust my decision making. I just got to stick on a wheel and just stay there. And the whole time I'm going, it's good for weight loss. Just keep turning the pedals. It's who cares about your performance? You're just mailing this in at this point anyway. So that's my symptoms of a bonk. That's how I know what's going on.
Okay, so mine is my mood. I don't know if you've ever noticed
how
that.
the hell would you ever be able to tell you're bonking then? I'm not going to say you're a moody second.
I will start feeling, I will notice a change in my mood. I'll either start feeling a little angry, a little irritable, or something like that.
Hangry?
Long before, not hungry, but my mood starts to shift.
You're hangry.
Long before I suffer the physical symptoms of lack of calories.
Yeah, you're getting hangry.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, mood is I listen to my mood. If I'm starting to feel a little like, damn this, and I'm like, oh, okay, take a gel. And that has served me well.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good to know your nose and to know your tells. So if you're still on the newer side of it and you don't really know what we're talking about with a bonk, you're going to find out. And just start paying attention to what those factors are. It's that feeling of that, even though the ride went great for a long period of time, all of a sudden it seems like a monumental task just to go another mile. And
then it's way too late.
Yeah.
There's got to be a sign long before that.
I know. I'm saying that's how you recognize that it's occurring to you if you've never had it happen before.
But there are tells that will start coming long before that.
You'll start to figure
out what those are. So you got to, because it takes me 15 to 20 minutes to start to feel the effects of a gel.
Yeah. I'm about 10, 15, I think, in that range. Yeah. Which is interesting. So I would always take a gel before the start of a crit, like on the start line.
Yeah. Rarely ever will you pull back from a bonk. Rarely.
Yes.
If you're too deep in it, you're not coming back out of it, no matter how much you eat or drink.
The only time I've ever been able to pull back from Vonk is if it happens before we stop for like a lunch stop or coffee stop or something where I can get a bunch of food in me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
if
the only
you're in
time I've
that
ever been able to come
situation
back.
if you're in that situation where you have an opportunity to go to a gas station and just stuff your face and chill out for a little bit, you can make your way out of it. But if you're in a
Yeah.
race situation
Oh yeah,
and
you're done.
and it comes out of nowhere, you're lights out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
You got
start to notice it, you know it's already been too long. You got 2 gels, and you would normally go for a gel, go for 2. Just grab 2, just down them,
dude,
and just
I've
start
taken
pushing it.
I've taken gels like a mile out. I'm not risking this one.
I need to listen to you. I need to start doing that.
You look at it and you're like,
But I'm like,
this is like
I'm also
$5.
like, well, that's the thing. I'm like another gel. That's another what? $1.50, $2, whatever. I mean, come on.
Yeah, this gel's $5. I'm almost home.
Right.
I'm gonna take it anyway. Yeah.
All right, I did want to hit a little bit of Unbound. I don't. You all are familiar. If you're listening to this and have been listening for a while, you're familiar with my general attitude. I think I've gotten a lot better over the years. Leah and I were talking about it not too long ago, yesterday, in fact, about how my general attitude is a lot better. I'm not trying to complain about Unbound or throw pot shots or whatever else like that. That being said, I'm trying to convey what I seem to be feeling or seeing out on social media. Social media isn't a gauge of everything. I understand that. But it seems like now amongst the enthusiasts, the amateurs, those that aren't the pros, so to speak, within the gravel verse, it seems like Unbound is starting to lose a little bit of its luster for them. It was a bad weather year, so to speak, I guess. A lot of rain, so a lot of mud. Very peanut buttery. If you are familiar with the mud down there, it just sticks to everything and then dries up, and you basically have concrete all over everything, and it will destroy bikes left and right. So I've been seeing nothing but memes since then of people like $200 entry, this many hundreds of dollars for travel and lodging, this much for food while there, and then $10,000 for a new bike when you get back because you destroyed your other, just so you could finish your 60-mile ride in the middle of nowhere. It seems like that kind of people are starting to do that kind of upper level math on the event. All the pictures of everybody standing in line and waiting their chances to go. I saw a good meme of a picture of everybody standing in line being compared, juxtaposed to everybody standing in line to get ready to go to the summit on Everest, because now that's overcrowded and overdone and that kind of thing. So basically the general theme being, it seems like a lot of people are starting to say it's kind of played out and it's done its thing. I know, Tim, you mentioned that it shouldn't be open to amateurs. I would say it should be open to a certain amount or level of amateurs, so to speak. I don't think you get rid of everybody, because that's what I think makes it a beautiful event. There's a lot of money invested because you can contact so many people in the cycling verse, but I think it's overcrowded for what it is.
I think if you're signing up for any event that anything can go wrong at any time, no matter what it is, whether it's weather comes at you or potential for equipment failures, you got to do your homework. You know what you're getting into. That's your fault. If you come home and have to rebuild the bike or buy a new bike or buy everything but a new frame,
I'm not saying that any of these people are necessarily caught surprised by it. They all know that's what they're getting into.
You got to know that first timers are probably like, what the hell? Like they got blindsided.
I don't think many did. I can't obviously speak for that, but I'd be surprised.
There's a huge difference between seeing it on social media and experiencing.
That's true.
Do you think that there's something unique about this course that when it rains that makes it so much worse? Because I feel like most places, not all, but a good, you sign up for a gravel race and it rains, it's going to be pretty freaking awful. It's going to be messy. It's going to be sloppy. Yeah. Some are going to be worse than others. It seems like this one
has high clay. It's a solo. It has high clay content. Yeah, it has less sand content. And because of that, you get, equipment destroying conditions.
Right. I mean, you do any gravel race. I don't care where it is. Your bike's going to get destroyed to some level. If it's bad weather. If it's good weather or decent weather, it's just getting dusty. Yeah, I mean, it still can, depending on the length of the event, it can still wreak
Correct.
havoc on your
Yeah.
bearings, your drivetrain, things like that. So to some level, you're gonna have to replace some equipment for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
I guess that's my point. Like, it's going to happen pretty much any event
it
that
ha
you do
it
that's
happens
off
out
road
here.
that's wet.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
I
just,
mean, it's just a given.
Unbound gets a big spotlight on it. So it's getting picked on a little bit more than
It's
anything else. But
I
it's gravel racing Super Bowl, at
and
least in
I
America.
think some of that, I think where some of that mentality may be coming from, maybe not necessarily from those that race it, but that mentality may be coming from a lot of the people that are sitting on the sidelines that go, this is stupid. Why are people paying this much money to go and do something like this and destroying all their gear? And I think a part of them probably feels, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but some of it may come from the fact that they believe this is the biggest event in essence that happens in this country for
Uh,
anything bike related.
yeah,
Um,
it's like
these trails and these race courses should be quote unquote in better shape or at least passable. Like it shouldn't you if you're paying this much money and there's this much money invested in this event with huge production value, you shouldn't be standing in a line with thousands of your friends waiting your turn to walk through the mud. So I think that's where the mentality is coming from. Now, we all know, well, that's the whole point. You don't change the course, you don't prep the course, and the course is the course. And that's the kind of conditions you're going to get into. Now, is it necessarily 100% fair to be sitting, nose to butts with thousands of your best friends waiting for your turn to take baby steps through the mud? No, but it is what it is.
yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
guys have done
because
triathlons. Is it that different than some of the worst triathlons?
there's
those are on
nothing,
pavement. So
yeah, there's nothing terrible about a triathlon.
Well, I mean, overcrowding in the swim or overcrowding in the transitions or
It's all managed, and the swim breaks up. The bike is what the bike is, and the run, it's all separate. You're not fighting people.
I mean, is the I'm not in touch with the cost equation on the triathlon side, and I know it's gone astronomical, but is that cost equation that much different than what people are paying to go to Unbound anymore?
Yeah, because I think
yeah.
that I don't think the majority of people are having to rebuild their bikes after a triathlon.
Well, to be fair, those triathletes never rebuild their bikes, let alone do any maintenance on them. So
Well, let's talk
Facts,
about
facts,
cyclocross.
facts.
cyclocross is different to me, and I will say
How?
why I think it's different. If you're in a really bad, messy situation like that, usually it's complicated. But I will say
There's a
I'll
bit.
use the expression: you have a pit, you have somebody that may be working in the pit, and you have the ability to have your bike washed once every few minutes and have some level of service be done to it, so that if it is immobile, where the mud has completely locked it up, which does happen, you do not have that far to go before you have some relief. Whether that's if you have somebody in the pits that can wash it for you, or you yourself walk into the pits, go over to the washer, clean it off. You have recourse. Whereas in an Unbound situation, you have no recourse. You're just there.
I
You have
mean,
those paint sticks that everybody
you
gives you.
you have 40 minutes in slop versus 10 hours in the slop. It's a
Yeah,
huge
Right.
difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah.
difference. I mean, personally, for me, I never saw there was never like I need to go do that.
Yeah.
And that's even in like the dry conditions. You could give me the sunniest, most driest day for that event, and I'd still not want to do it. It looks
I
boring as
totally agree.
hell.
I have no desire to travel that far to go race in that locale, regardless of the conditions. It just doesn't appeal to me. Then
No.
again, it's like I am still. People have heard my philosophy, and I'll say it again. I do the short events when it comes to gravel, because I don't see the point in going for more than 2 hours or 3 hours. I mean, I can push myself pretty hard for that period of time, and when I get done, if I still feel like I have more left, I should have gone harder for the time going into that. But that's that quote unquote racer in me, because most races to me should be done within that period of time. And then you can go do something else with your day and maybe not
I mean,
destroy $10,000 worth of equipment and maybe not have to spend 10 hours with your biggest critic being yourself.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the gravel scene now that teams are starting to be established. What it's going to do. I mean, we know what it's going to do for the professional side of it.
Yeah.
It's maybe unfair depending on how you look at it, but if you're
I,
involved in one of those teams, it is what it
yeah.
is. But what does it do to the people that don't think like the masses that don't think teams should be involved in the sport of gravel racing. It's a natural evolution. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
I don't think that they
Most
have a
people are going to
say or
apply
that it
those.
really matters to them.
No, but are they going to lose interest? Like, I'm going to go find something else to do now because this has become a
Yeah.
team sport that I don't want to be involved in.
In the same way they lost interest in cyclocross and moved on, or in the same way they lost interest in road and moved on. It's
I
one of
mean,
those things where if it becomes quote unquote corporate to them, they
yeah,
kind of want to hit the road and find the next big thing. To
right.
quote Bill Scheiken from CX Airs, and I really like his way of saying it. Maybe I misquote him. My apologies, Bill. I know you're never going to listen to this, but um, he says every discipline has that, I don't know, 8 to 10 year streak, 6 to 8 year streak, where it goes through the build up, the crescendo, and now the drop. And he said, point blank, gravel is at the end of that period. It's had its heyday, and we are going to see it change, and it is going to lose some. Now, what that looks like in the future, who knows? I have some valid concerns for that, and this kind of segues into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. I have some valid concerns in that from the standpoint of our entire industry has geared itself to gravel. And we always do this in this industry. It takes forever for us to really truly start coming out with viable product that is the best product for that application. And there's years of iteration and revision and everything else like that. And just when we nail it, or just when we start to get right on it, everyone wants to do something different. That's fine, whatever. The industry will follow and go wherever it goes. But it's kind of a bad time in the industry for that to kind of happen. And one of my key indicators that has fully happened, that we've jumped the shark, is we've seen every year fewer and fewer and fewer bicycle OEM manufacturers making what we would call a cyclocross bike. We've all said that. And I had a friend tell me last weekend, we ran across him, and he said, yeah, it's funny because he took a little break from the sport and has just come back. And he's like, everyone's telling me I need a gravel bike now. He goes, I did Barry-Roubaix like in one of the first years that they did it. And I did it on a cyclocross bike. We did gravel on cyclocross bikes. Now, if you want to talk somebody into doing cyclocross, they have to do cyclocross on a gravel bike. It's the weirdest thing. And that has happened. We always name the few companies that are still doing, cyclocross bikes. Left in production, you've got the Trek Boon, to the best of my knowledge, is still available. You have Canyon is making one. Cervelo supposedly has one. Who else? We always said Specialized because they still had the Crux, and
Ridley.
they called it gravel. Well, Ridley, sure. So classic European brands seem to want to keep that because they do have a market there for cyclocross.
That's
the
what
ones
exists
that
over
do,
there.
yeah, the ones that want to do large business in the U.S., they're not doing it. Cannondale, I'm sure, has one. And I know Giant has a TCX on the books. Now, I say on the books because if you go to try to buy one, good luck. There's very few that ever really make it into the country. If they do, they're already sitting on somebody's floor. They've already been bought, what have you. So good bike. I'm not saying it's not a good bike, but we always had the Crux. Crux it was called a gravel bike, but really it was still the same geometry that made the Crux a popular cyclocross bike. It just had wider and wider tire clearance. And that way it could be called a gravel bike. Well, they came out with the 5th generation, 6th generation Crux and they announced it right before Unbound. And they have finally, quote unquote, jumped the shark with it. So they have finally, I'll say this, fucked the geometry on it, making it a great gravel bike. Okay. I'm sure it's one of the best gravel bikes out there. Reason for that is because it's actually a race bike. It's still kind of a race bike. It's still kind of a cross bike. And it ended up, you were saying all the positions. It won, 1, 2, 4, 5, all the male positions on the male side. What all the positions in Unbound? Do you remember?
Got top 2 in the women's elite field, and then I think the men's field was 1, 2, 3, 5, 8.
Yeah. So not bad for a brand new bike. Now, granted, put a good bike under those guys and they're going to be there. You know what I mean? Those guys and ladies that are racing in those races with that ability, they're going to be there anyway. But I'm sure it didn't hurt. Those bikes have that cross bike pedigree. The things that have changed to finally make it no longer technically a cross bike. They have dropped the head tube angle a half a degree. They have they actually increased the seat tube angle by half a degree, which I found interesting. They made the bike longer wheelbase. But I did check. They kept the chain stays still at the same length as they were before. They're 425 millimeter. And I'm going to, in a second,
they raked out the front end.
They raked out the front end. So they took it from a 47 millimeter to a 50 to 51 millimeter rake. So they raked out the fork in the front end. They slacked the head tube angle. And in their thing, they're like, oh, we made it more stable. Yeah, you've taken away its turnability by doing that. So it has less ability to turn now, but it feels more comfortable over a longer haul. They kept the short chain stays. They kept an aggressive seat angle. So it is still a get on top of it race rig, but it's now going to have that slow steering that we're starting to find in all the gravel rigs. They also,
Did you say it went from 47 to 51?
I have conflicting notes. It's either 50 or 51.
It's not huge.
But
It's not like
it was a
45
47,
to 65.
but it's pretty big. It's pretty big. It ends up adding quite a few millimeters to the trail, like a centimeter or something like that to the trail. So the overall wheelbase is longer.
Just put a longer stem on.
And they did. They also put shorter stems across the line. They increased the reach and put shorter stems. Yeah. And they also dropped the bottom bracket. They dropped the bottom bracket by I don't remember, like 6 millimeter. They dropped the bottom bracket 6 millimeter, which is pretty big. Really big. But to put some of this into perspective, I always liked the Crux. I always liked how it handled everything else like that. In my opinion, one of the best, for me, we can all argue this, but in my perspective, one of the best cross bikes I ever rode has been the Van Dessel full tilt boogie. And I went and I pulled up the geometry on all that. What I love about the geometry on that is that it's race geometry. It's more like a road bike than a cross bike. But I went to compare it, and you
can't compare because the Van Dessel doesn't exist anymore.
I understand, but to look at those geometries, to say, to me, that the full tilt is a cross bike. So I hold that as cross geometry.
So compare that to the Boon as well.
I did not pull the Boon. I did all this while you were talking earlier. I was pulling these numbers, so I didn't get a chance to pull the Boon. But you have a 74 degree seat tube angle in the full tilt, and I believe, I can't see it on here, I want to say it's 70, pretty close to that on the Crux, even with the change. I want to say it's 73 and a half or something to that degree, or maybe even 74. The head tube angle on the full tilt, 72 degrees, and on the Crux is now 71 and a half. So getting fairly close, but they did slack it. If they hadn't slacked it that half a degree, it'd be at that 72, which is a really good cross bike. They have the full tilt has a 7 centimeter drop, bottom bracket drop, and the Crux now has a 7.2 bottom bracket drop. And then they both have 425 millimeter chainstays. Or yeah, you know what I mean. So the chainstay length is the same. It's still a short chainstay, which is good. It's still going to be snappy. It's still going to have the feeling. It now has clearance for 55 millimeter tires. So
that's the difference. You have to rake it out to accommodate to accommodate for the tire size.
So you're not revving the frame, especially in the smaller sizes. And that's what I was also saying on some of these are the numbers change, but because it does change depending on your frame size. They did have to compensate.
If I was specialized in knowing their marketing team, I would have just said the Crux is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. You should just
now though they have positioned it as the ultimate racing gravel bike.
That's marketing.
Yeah.
Everyone
for them,
their own gravel bike. Every manufacturer, every brand says that about their bike.
What do they have as the other one? Is it Diverge or is that it?
Yeah, Diverge. BMC will say that about their equipment, and the other bikes will say that about their equipment. Like everyone, it's marketing.
But not necessarily. I don't know, whatever they do for everybody, but they're saying for their lineup, it is the race gravel bike. Whereas the Diverge is just the everyday gravel bike.
I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not that it's the best one that's ever. I mean, I'm sure somebody is saying, "Oh, it's the best one ever invented," but
I misunderstood. My fault.
But they're saying firmly that this is if you're going to race gravel, this is what you need to have in their lineup.
That's kind of what I would want. I would want my bike to feel fast, because if you get on a slacked out gravel bike, it feels
Yeah,
slow as
it
shit.
sucks. It
It
sucks.
feels terrible. It feels horrible. Like it just like not only the way it handles, but it just feels slow.
It
And
feels
and
slinky and low, and
the fact that they kept the short chainstays and kept it snappy and able to accelerate quick is probably really nice.
yeah. So I'm not a big fan that they've made changes. I think that and I was really upset about it. But then looking at all these numbers, I think that they haven't destroyed the Crux. I think it's still a viable option. And if you're looking and you're a specialized person and you're looking for a bike to get into cyclocross, I still think you could do if you're brand new to cyclocross, I think you can do very well racing on this current version of the Crux.
You have no problem with mud clearance at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you may be way better off than the rest of us running old gear that have tight clearances. So, especially because at some point, they're going to open up the rules on sizing for tires at some point. But I know she's giving me all the indicators that she wants to get out of here.
Yeah. No, I'm seeing the bug. I'm following this bug on the table.
Gotcha. But we're pretty much there anyway. That's pretty much it. Thanks for joining us. Go and buy some buttonhole chamois cream. Please buy it wherever you can find it. It's tale as old as time, supplier issues all the time. So we do have some of it. It's around. Check with your favorite shop. If they don't have it, tell them to go order some. Go out to enzocyclingproducts.com. You can get it there. You can get it at treadsavvy.com. You can get it at pretty much everything online that you can think of. Outside of that, I may be talking with somebody at one of the major tire companies, and I'm going to probably try to get them on this podcast coming up here soon to start talking cyclocross. So maybe we have that in the future, or maybe I'm just full of it, and you'll have to tune in to find out. If no one has anything else,
Nope.
all right. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the ride.